Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're going to be reading chapter number 7 from Canto 8, Enchanting Pastimes, from The Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chapter 7 is Shiva drinks poison. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhate girim yat kripatamumante Shri Gurum Dintarinam Parmananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om. The gods and asuras sat on the shore of the milk ocean, intoning mantras to summon Vasuki. Impelled by the chanting, the Naga king appeared before them, and after bowing low to Vishnu, he asked the others why they had summoned him. Indra opened his mouth to reply, but Bali interrupted. Stepping forward, he declared, O Naga leader, know me to be King Bali, Lord of the universe. On my order, coil yourself around this Mandara mountain. I wish to use your body as a churning rope. Vasuki hissed and recoiled from Bali. I will not. What you ask will be arduous and may even cost me my life. I shall certainly not obey you. Bali unsheathed his sword and raised it as if to strike Vasuki. How dare you disobey me? You will do as I say or die at my hands this moment. Indra quickly edged close to Bali and quietly whispered in his ear, My lord, we will gain nothing if you kill him. I have another idea. Please give your permission for me to address him. Still scowling, Bali sheathed his sword and grunted his assent. Indra smiled at Vasuki and spoke gently. Dear Vasuki, on the order of Lord Ajita, Vishnu himself, who stands here among us, we have called you to do this, his will. Vasuki glanced at Ajita and respectfully replied, What is the Lord's will? He desires the good of both gods and asuras and has asked that we cooperate with you to churn this great ocean of milk. By so doing, we will create an elixir of immortality which we are to share. Vasuki's eyes widened. An elixir of immortality. Will I also get a share? He turned to Ajita for confirmation. The Lord smiled and nodded. Vasuki immediately coiled his gigantic body around the mountain. Followed by the gods, Ajita strode to Vasuki's head and grasped his front portion. Bali, piqued at being upstaged by Indra, stood with legs apart and arms folded, glowering at the gods. All the asuras stood behind him. In friendly tone, Indra invited Bali, My dear brother, let us take up this great task together. Please order the asuras to seize Vasuki's tail. Bali's face flushed with indignation. Most lowly Indra, how dare you order your superior? We asuras are the rulers of the universe, accomplished scholars of the Vedas, and famous for our birth and activities. We shall not take the serpent's tail, since it is inferior to his head. Indra's face reddened, as did the other gods. Bali was too insolent. How could they continue to brook his insults? Vishnu, however, smiled. Releasing Vasuki's head, he walked over to his tail and picked it up. Seeing this, Indra and the other gods controlled their anger and without another word followed him. Smiling smugly at each other, the asuras strode proudly to Vasuki's head. Then, together with the gods, they pulled Mountain Mandar into the ocean with the intent of churning it. To their dismay, the mountain sank. Despite their best efforts to keep it afloat, they looked at each other with furrowed brows and shook their heads, unsure how to solve this problem. Ajita spoke reassuringly. Do not worry, my will is always supreme. He then assumed the form of a gigantic tortoise and, entering the water, lifted the mountain on his back, which was 800,000 miles in diameter. The mountain's peak slowly emerged with Vasuki still coiled tightly around it. The gods and asuras, feeling encouraged, picked up his tail and head and began churning. Surely this is the Lord's form as Kurma, the divine turtle, said Indra. The god became anxious that they may be causing Kurma discomfort as the mountain twisted and turned on his back. But Kurma reassured him that he was enjoying the rolling action of the mountain as a pleasant back scratch. After laboring for many hours, the gods, Asuras, and Vasuki began to feel exhausted. Vasuki cried out, "I'm dying, please stop, I cannot take it any more." Seeing their predicament, Ajita intervened. He entered the Asuras as the energy of passion to enliven them, the gods as the energy of goodness, and Vasuki as ignorance to make him unconscious of his pain. As they vigorously churned, the mountain wobbled from side to side. To keep it firmly in place, Ajita assumed another 1,000-handed form as large as the mountain. Rising above the mountain's summit, he held it in place with one hand. On seeing this, all the gods expanded into second forms and showered him with flowers from the sky. Encouraged by Vishnu's help from above, below, and within themselves, the gods and Asuras strenuously reapplied themselves to churning for the nectar. Through their vigorous efforts, the milk ocean became agitated, and fierce sea monsters appeared on its surface, thrashing about in fear. From his thousands of mouths, Vasuki breathed smoke and blazing fire, greatly afflicting the nearby Asuras, headed by Bali and his ministers, Poloma, Kaleya, and Ilvala, who bore the brunt of the flames. Although the gods were further away from Vasuki's mouth, they were also affected by his burning breath. The strength of both gods and Asuras diminished, and their bodies became blackened. Ajita took pity on the gods, and by his grace clouds appeared in the sky, pouring torrents of rain, and breezes carrying particles of water from the sea waves sprang up to give them relief. Still, despite Vishnu's help and their best effort, the gods and Asuras could not extract any nectar. Therefore, Ajita took hold of Vasuki's head and tail with his powerful arms, which bestow fearlessness on all beings throughout the universe. He began to churn the ocean single-handedly. As he labored, he looked like a magnificent sapphire mountain. His yellow garments flew about him, his earrings shone like lightning, his hair spread over his shoulder, and his garland swung side to side. The entire ocean became so turbulent that all the fish, sharks, tortoises, and snakes became terrified, and even the large aquatics like whale, water elephants, and timingilas were thrown to the surface. While the ocean was being churned, it produced fiercely dangerous poison called halahal. The virulent black liquid began to ooze rapidly in all directions. All the Asuras took to their heels, screaming in fear. The equally panic-stricken gods, however, followed Ajita to the summit of Kailash hill, where Shiva sat with his wife Bhavani. He was worshipped by great saintly persons desiring freedom from birth and death. Ajita instructed the gods to entreat the merciful Shiva to protect them. Indra and the hosts of gods hurriedly went forward and knelt before Shiva. Shiva looked at them in surprise. "My dear gods, what can I do for you?" They said in unison, "O greatest of the gods, Mahadev, please save us from the fiery poison which is spreading all over the three worlds." Shiva said, "I am the destroyer. If you want protection, you should go to Lord Vishnu." Indra replied, "O great one, since Lord Vishnu acts through you to bind or liberate conditioned souls, we accept you as the ruler of the material universe. The wise take shelter of you, knowing that you can mitigate our material suffering and even give us liberation." Then all the gods together recited a prayer to Vishnu. "We offer obeisance to the Supreme Self-Manifesting Lord who creates the material universe. Through his energy, he expands himself as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva to create, maintain, and destroy it. Your effulgence is the inconceivable impersonal Brahman, the source of both matter and the living beings. Both energies which bind and liberate us come from you. The planets, elements, time, etc., all constitute your universal form. You are the supersoul, the ultimate truth, and you are celebrated as Shiva, which means most auspicious. Irreligion is your shadow. The three modes of nature are your three eyes, and the Vedic literature is your glance. Your Brahman effulgence lies beyond the modes of nature and is not understood even by the three highest universal directors. Shiva's eyes widen in indignation. You are suggesting that not even the omniscient Lord Vishnu understands the Brahman? He is supreme, of course, said Indra. Still, he does not need to understand what is going on in his all pervading expansion. What do you mean? Exclaimed Shiva. Not understanding the impersonal Brahman does not detract from Lord Vishnu's omniscience. Since it is like knowledge of a flower in the sky, Shiva still glared at the gods. How could he brook any insult to Lord Vishnu? Anxious to placate him, Surya said, My lord, when flames emanate from your angry eyes to destroy the universe, do you understand how that happens? Could you explain to us the process by which this occurs? This is a trivial, petty task I perform routinely. I would not waste my time to understand its mechanics. That's what I mean. We mean by saying not even Vishnu understands the impersonal Brahman. He could if he wanted to, but it is too insignificant for him to think about. Shiva calmed down. Oh well, if that's what you meant, that's fine. Pray continue with your petition. Letting out a sigh of relief, Indra continued, My dear Lord, destruction is not a problem for you. We all remember how easily you destroyed Daksha's sacrifice and many asuras like Tripura, Sur, Kala and Gara. What do you want me to destroy this time? The halal poison, said Indra. Halahal, what do you mean? It is also called Kalakut, said Surya, a very virulent poison. So the purpose of this glorification is to ask me to obliterate a little poison? The gods looked at one another nervously. They could not tell from his tone if Shiva was annoyed with them or merely confirming he correctly understood their desire. Indra decided it would be prudent to mollify the mighty deity. He said, Shameless people criticize you by suggesting you are ferocious, envious, or lusty. Liberated souls, however, always meditate on your sacred feet, for they know you are always engaged in severe austerity. What to speak of low-class materialists? Not even Lord Brahma and we gods can fully appreciate your greatness, for you are greater than all moving and non-moving beings. How can any of us properly glorify you? Yet we have tried to express our appreciation according to our ability. Although we cannot fully understand your greatness, your presence enables others to flourish and be happy. On hearing Indra's humble petition, Shiva remembered his determination always to do others good. His demeanor softened. The gods were suffering, and his duty was to show them compassion. Turning to his wife Shiva said, My dear Bhavani, see how these poor souls are in great danger because of halal poison. It is my duty to protect all living entities struggling for existence. Indeed, the master must look after his suffering dependents. Bhavani frowned. The conditioned souls are always envious of each other. These gods are no better. They hate the asuras races. You are not like them. You are self-satisfied. You should have nothing to do with them. Shiva smiled at his wife. Conditioned souls fight each other because they are bewildered by the Lord's illusory energy. Krishna's devotees, however, are different. We try to save others even at the risk of our own lives. In this way, my dear gentle wife, we devotees please Krishna. When Krishna is pleased, everyone becomes happy, including me. Therefore, please let me drink the poison. By my doing this, everyone will become happy. Bhavani smiled. I know of your greatness and that this poison poses no personal danger to you. Therefore, I have no objection. Shiva then accompanied the gods to the milk ocean. They saw the quantity of poison so great that it spread all over the universe. Indra and other gods became dispirited. The problem had grown such enormous dimensions that they were wondering if Shiva could solve it. Shiva, however, was unperturbed. Mystically, he drew the entire quantity of poison into the palm of his hand and drank it. The gods gasped in wonderment. Surya said, Lord Shiva is truly great. He can perform tasks which would destroy anyone else. I now understand why no one should try to imitate him. As they watched Shiva drink, a blue line appeared around his neck. What's that line? Asked Indra. The Ashwini Kumar's brothers replied, the poison must have caused it. Ajita said, this line will become famous as Shiva's ornament. Then he turned to address all the gods who stood in wide-eyed admiration of Shiva. Great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering to relieve the miseries of others. This is considered the highest method of worshipping Lord Vishnu, who is in everyone's heart. The gods cheered loudly. All praise to the compassionate Lord Shiva. All praise to the supreme Lord Ajita. Shiva wiped his hands together. A few drops of the poison fell to the ground. Some snakes and other living entities like scorpions who accompanied him immediately took the opportunity to drink those remnants. One of the Ashwini Kumar brothers cautioned the other gods. Dear brothers, henceforward be wary of these species. Their bites will be most venomous. So this brings us to the end of chapter 7. Shiva drinks poison. And next time we will read from chapter 8, churning the milk ocean. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.